What does a man do when he has $125 million, a U.S. Open title, and still feels like he's losing? That is the question sitting at the center of the most complicated story in professional golf right now. Bryson DeChambeau, the scientist, the defector, the most polarizing player in the sport, is watching the world he chose crumble around him. LIV Golf is collapsing. The PGA Tour wants its stars back, and DeChambeau is stuck in the middle, unsigned, uncommitted, and more relevant. This video answers three things: why he left, what has changed, and whether he actually gets back in. Let's start from the beginning. When Bryson DeChambeau arrived on the PGA Tour, the golf world did not know what to make of him. He carried a notebook on the course. He talked about launch angles and spin rates like a professor giving a lecture. He played with single-length irons, every club the exact same length, treating every shot like a physics experiment. The veterans thought it was a gimmick. The commentators raised their eyebrows. Behind closed doors, people said one thing: this guy will fold the moment the pressure is real. They were wrong. DeChambeau did not just survive on the PGA Tour. He transformed himself entirely. He went from a lean college golfer to 240 pounds of functional, explosive muscle. He was not just hitting the ball farther than anyone else. He was hitting it farther than anyone thought was physically possible. And then came the moment that silenced every single doubter. The 2020 U.S. Open at Winged Foot. If you know golf history, you know what Winged Foot means. It is one of the most brutal courses in America, designed to humiliate, to expose every weakness in a player's game. Bryson DeChambeau won it by 6 shots. Not 1, not 2, 6 shots at Winged Foot. At that moment, the laughing stopped, the eyebrows came down, and the entire golf world had to admit, this man is something different. But here is what nobody understood at the time. That U.S. Open victory was not the defining moment of career. The defining moment had not happened yet. June 2022. The PGA Tour was going about its business, tournaments running, money being made. And then DeChambeau did something that nobody, not his agent, not his sponsors, not his closest friends, saw coming. He left. No press conference. No dramatic goodbye. No social media farewell. He signed with LIV Golf and took $125 million as a signing bonus. $125 million before hitting a single shot for LIV, before winning a single event, just for agreeing to switch tours. The fallout was immediate and it was nuclear. PGA Tour Commissioner Jay Monahan had been trying to hold his tour together as LIV kept writing enormous checks. He made it crystal clear: any player who left faced serious consequences, suspensions, loss of world ranking points, career-defining penalty. And DeChambeau's response? He did not just push back. He torched the building. He called the PGA Tour corrupt. He called Jay Monahan a liar, directly, publicly, on camera. He said the tour had misled players and misled the public. He said the whole system was rigged against players. He did not just burn bridges. He detonated them, stood back, and watched them fall. And the golf world moved on and assumed that was the end of the Bryson DeChambeau story on the PGA Tour. They were dead wrong. But here's the question worth holding on to right now. Was it really just about the money? $125 million is not nothing. That is obvious. But the real answer is more complicated than, and it connects directly to everything happening in 2026. Keep that question in mind. For 4 years, Bryson DeChambeau competed on LIV Golf. On paper, it looked fine. He won events. He cashed massive paychecks. He remained the longest driver in professional golf, averaging 324 yards, which is almost incomprehensible. He finished top 10 at the Masters and top 10 at the PGA Championship. From the outside, it looked like a man living his best life. But sources who have known him since his college days at SMU tell a very different story. They say DeChambeau was lonely, not in a pitiful way, but in the specific, particular way that only elite athletes. The crowds at LIV events were smaller. The energy was different. The stakes felt lower. When you win an LIV event, the world does not stop. Golf Twitter does not explode. The morning shows do not call. You win, you collect your check, and life continues. For a man who had stood on the 18th green at Winged Foot with the entire world watching, that felt like driving a Formula One car in a parking lot. The machine was running, but there was nowhere to go. Every day, he watched the PGA Tour continue without him. He watched younger players rise. He watched the Ryder Cup, the event he would have been a central figure in, happen without him. He watched the U.S. Open he had once owned become someone else's story. And then came the legacy question, the one that every elite athlete eventually has to face. Right now, what is Bryson DeChambeau's legacy? He is the scientist who won the U.S. Open by 6 shots. He is also the defector who took the Saudi money. He is the man who called the commissioner a liar. He is the man who burned every bridge and walked away. That is a complicated legacy. And for a man who has always cared intensely about how history sees him, it was eating him alive. On a quiet evening at his home course, DeChambeau addressed it directly on camera. He said he had made mistakes. He said he had said things he regretted. He said he had hurt people he cared about. Then he hit a drive into the fading light, 324 yards, and the ball disappeared over the horizon. Everything shifted in 2026, and it shifted fast. Saudi Arabia's public investment, the PF, announced it was pulling its financial backing from LIV Golf at the end of the 2026 season. The announcement sent shockwaves through professional golf. The PF is estimated to have injected between $5 and $8 billion in LIV since the league launched in 2021. Money that had largely disappeared into a venture that never attracted large outside investment and never approached profitability. DeChambeau himself described the moment he found out. "There's no way. That's frickin' impossible, considering what I'd heard a couple months earlier. I thought there was a plan through 2032. It was a flip of the switch." The reasons behind the PF's retreat go well beyond golf. Saudi Arabia was already pulling back from promised international investments before the Iran war began. Iran's closure of the Strait of Hormuz slashed Saudi oil exports by nearly half. The kingdom shuttered most of its offshore fields and halted one of the world's largest petrochemical plants. The PF's estimated worth, once pegged near $940 billion, now looks increasingly theoretical. Yasser Al-Rumayyan, the PF governor, LIV's architect, and chairman of its board, stepped down entirely. LIV CEO Scott O'Neill is now shopping the league to outside investors, seeking $250 million while projecting profitability within 20 months. This, from a man who said earlier in the year that break-even could still be a decade away. A secondary option exists at $150 million, contingent on team sales and a new media rights deal. LIV has already postponed one event this season, citing summer heat and World Cup scheduling conflicts. Meanwhile, DeChambeau's contract with LIV expires at the end of 2026. He is currently signed for next season, assuming there even is a next season. And behind the scenes, agents for several LIV players have already reached out to the PGA Tour about paths back. The first crack in the wall came in January 2026, when Brooks Koepka returned to the PGA Tour under a newly created returning member program. The eligibility criteria were specific. Players who had been away from the tour for at least 2 years and had won the Players' Championship, Masters Tournament, PGA Championship, U.S. Open, or the Open Championship during the 2022 to 2025 season. Under that exemption, only 3 LIV players qualified alongside Koepka. DeChambeau, winner of the 2024 U.S. Open, Jon Rahm, winner of the 2023 Masters, and Cameron Smith, winner of the 2022 Players and 2022 Open champion. The terms are not soft. Koepka agreed to donate $5 million to charity, forfeited FedEx Cup bonus money, and cannot participate in the tour's equity program for the next 5 years. The offer had a deadline, February 2nd, 2026, and it was made explicitly clear this was a one-time program, not a template for what the tour would do going forward. DeChambeau did not accept before the deadline. Instead, the day after the Koepka announcement, he posted a cryptic photo on Instagram, standing near an exit sign, with a caption, "What would you do?" It was classic DeChambeau. Maximum leverage, minimum commitment. PGA Tour CEO Brian Rolap has publicly stated he wants DeChambeau, Rahm, and Smith back on tour. The door is open. Whether DeChambeau walks through it is a different question entirely. At LIV Golf, Virginia in May 2026, DeChambeau finally laid out exactly what a PGA Tour return would require. He named 2 specific conditions. The first was player acceptance, not executive approval, not a CEO's handshake, the membership itself. I think there's a way to solve any problem. It's really about if the membership wants me back and if they just want me back. That's what it's about, DeChambeau told Garrett Johnston of Scratch. I don't even think it's Brian Rolap or anybody like one of the top executives. It's really if the players want me back, and if not, then I understand that. That is not a small ask. DeChambeau not only defected to LIV for an enormous sum of money, which put a bad taste in the mouths of many players, but he was also part of a lawsuit against the tour following his departure in 2022. The lawsuit alleged that the PGA Tour used monopoly power to suspend players who left for LIV Golf. Those wounds have not fully healed. The second condition was content freedom, specifically his YouTube channel and social media platform. DeChambeau currently has 2.69 million YouTube subscribers. He has filmed content with U.S. President Donald Trump, 7-time Grand Slam champion Carlos Alcaraz, and 4-time NBA champion Stephen Curry. Content is not a hobby for him. It is a core part of his brand and his business. If I was to film a video during the week of one of their events with a content creator or a celebrity, that would be in violation to my knowledge, DeChambeau said. It's their policy. They didn't let me do it when I was on there. I asked various times. The PGA Tour pushed back on this, clarifying that under their current social media policy, players are permitted to create content during practice rounds and pro-am events. Only tournament days are restricted. So DeChambeau's claim is partially inaccurate. But what it reveals is telling. He is not going to walk back into the tour quietly. He wants assurances. He wants terms. And content creation is non-negotiable for him. As of May 2026, the picture is complicated on every front. DeChambeau missed the cut at the 2026 PGA Championship at Rahm, his second consecutive missed cut at a major. Meanwhile, Rahm finished in a tie for second at the same event, proving he is still playing elite golf despite the chaos surrounding LIV. Rahm, however, is under contract with LIV for years to come, giving him far less flexibility than DeChambeau. Inside the PGA Tour's player membership, opinion is split along generational lines. Younger players who joined after the LIV split have no problem with a return. They want to compete against the best players in the world, full stop. Older veterans feel differently. One veteran player, speaking anonymously, put it plainly. He burned every bridge, called the commissioner a liar, took the Saudi money, and now he wants to walk back and like, no, that's not how this works. Then there is the financial question, the one that may ultimately decide everything. DeChambeau's position is that the PGA Tour has zero jurisdiction over money paid to him by LIV Golf. The tour's position is that repayment to a charitable fund is non-negotiable and restorative, designed to ensure that players who stayed loyal were not disabled. Two sides standing at the edge of a legal cliff, staring at each other, and hovering over all of it is a statement from Tiger Woods, released through his agent. The PGA Tour is rules. Those rules apply to everyone. If the rules are changed for one player, they must be changed for all players. Tiger did not endorse DeChambeau's return. He did not block it either. But what that statement communicated clearly to anyone paying attention to this, if Bryson gets back in, every LIV player gets back in. And that would not just be a story. It would be a complete reshaping of professional